Howdy y'all, Nimby here. Today we're going to be tying up some prince nymphs. And I'm just going to start a little bit in from the 1/3 mark. These aren't going to be beadheads, these are just going to be regular prince nymphs. And I'm just going to do a basic thread taper down the body there. And we're going to weight it. You don't have to, but we're going to weight these ones. And I'm just going to use 0.10 lead wire in this case. You can use lead free if you like. Heavy copper or bronze wire will work fine as well. And we're just going to weight the first part of the thorax up here. About 7 or 8 wraps with this thin stuff is fine. Just gonna snap that off there. There we go, nice and neat. I appreciate that, thank you kindly. It's just a regular prince nymph for this one, nothing crazy. No beadhead, just a regular prince nymph what we're doing today. Just working on the nymph section. And I'm just going to be tying this in with some crossing wraps. Just so it doesn't go all crazy on us. If you do have problems with your lead moving around on you or your lead free stuff, you can always just throw a dab of head cement on there and keep it in place. If you have trouble wrapping it, you can try wrapping it with a blank shank without any thread on it. The thread will keep it in place a little better, make it easier to wrap. Sometimes you'll get a more concentric wrap with a bare shank. It really depends on the material you're using more than anything. So your mileage may vary there. For the tail, we're just going to be using, if I can get it untangled here. For the tail, we're just going to be using brown Biot. Just going to get a couple of these snipped out. I already had a section going here from the middle, so we'll just keep working on there. Generally, I like to work in the middle and work my way up. Most of the Biots are a little bit better shape in the middle of the feather, for the most part. Tail isn't as critical as the overwings, which we're going to be doing in white, because they're just smaller and they're tails. So see, they're sticking together a bit here from the dyeing process, so I'm just gonna there we go. Well, that's a little better. Just gonna get them shredded out a bit. All good. That's much better now. Wonderful material. One of my favorites for nymphs. Just gonna cut this off camera here so they don't go flying everywhere. There we go, got 2. So we're gonna be tying in for the tail. I like a mahogany kind of lighter brown, almost on a red spectrum. Wearing a red shirt today for Canada Day, so it'll probably kind of bleed through on the fly a little bit, but it's Canada Day, you gotta wear red today. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the tail, hey, good to have you in. Just doing some Prince nymphs tonight. So we're going to be tying these the length of the body. I like a little bit longer nymph tail on mine. You go anywhere from the length of the body to the length of the gap is kind of what the majority of people will tie for these. I'm going to be bringing the thread back, and we're going to make a little bit of a thread bump just above the barb on the hook. So we're letting our line drop down like so. We're just a hair above the barb. We'll get about 4 or 5 wraps there. There's a couple different techniques you can do for this. I like the little thread bump because we already got thread going. It's nice, quick, easy, and it works good. The other thing you can do is just put a hair bit of dubbing on there, which will help to spread the biots a little bit for you. Or you can tie them in one at a time and do neither. So again, I'm just going to size that up. So we're going for the length of the body, not including the head. I'll bring it right to there. I generally only will measure one and then just measure the second one up to that. You're welcome to tie these in as well. Together. I find I get much nicer biot placement if I do them one at a time. I'm not in any big hurry. But you're more than welcome to tie them in together. Quite a few people do. What you're mainly looking for is you want to have a nice V coming out the back. You want to have them in the same plane or slightly down like this one is from the hook shank. So you can see it's nice and flat along the hook shank. With that, and as we turn sideways, you can see it's got a nice flare off to the one side. They have a natural curve to them, so as long as you're keeping the natural curve, you don't have to worry about that part. But you can throw a kind of like a figure 8 wrap in between the two to hold them apart. For the most part, you can see there's a little slight curve to it, and that should keep them apart enough for you. That little thread bump that we put on the butt there will be just enough, you can see, to kick it out and keep the two separated. You can also, like I said, use, a lot of people will just use a little tiny whack of whatever dubbing they got kicking around. Normally like a light brown. Color on that end of things don't matter, because you're just using that to separate the two biots and make it a little more durable that way. What I like to do is hold it in sideways like so. And if your eyes aren't good, or you just want to save time, your finger will be able to feel the two biots being the right length long before you're going to see them being the right length. You just butt it up against your finger and you'll feel them. And if they're doing that, you can grab it. It's 1 or 2 soft wraps here. Hold it in place. It did turn a little bit on me. But we'll fix that in a second. We're just going to get rid of this cat hair that flew in there. As my cat's jumping all over the place tonight. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so this should be, if I got the fly straight like so, the two biots should be lining up and they're not. So we're just going to adjust that. That's the benefit of doing them one at a time, is you can get them in there a little bit, tweak them. Oh yeah, lots. 'Tis what I do. This one here is a really good fly if you're using like for searching nymph. It's pretty famous for a reason, because it just works well. It's easy to tie, imitates many different nymphs in different stages. But yeah, what I'm shooting for is I want those two to line up just so, and then still be spread evenly. I think we got it pretty good there. You can see the nice V. Depends on the day and what I'm tying. Like if I'm doing zebra midges or something, I could probably do like easily 350 or more. On average, I try to get at least a dozen or so done a day. We're gonna leave the butt ends in. They should, if they come up past where your lead is here, you see if I put them down or not. If they come past your lead, just trim them off a bit. This will help to build the body a little bit. We're not trying to build a whole lot of bulk, but it'll add a little bit of bulk and help to keep that lead in place as well. There we go. And that's all there is to it. Tie those in. You got a nice V coming off the back, and when you have them flat, they're on the same plane and they're even. Not doing a bead head on this one. It's just gonna be a regular old Prince Nymph. Normally, I would do a. Do I have any kicking around? Well, these ones aren't Prince Nymphs, but they're just regular Nymphs. Well, these ones have like regular brass bead that I'd normally use on these guys. I got maybe 60 or 70 of these with the brass bead heads over there that are ready to get boxed up. But in this one tonight, I'm just going to do just a regular old Prince Nymph. I do prefer, personally, the bead heads. They just seem to fish a little bit better and they cast nice. It adds the weight up front too, so you can dip them a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to go right to the end of where my lead is. So basically kind of the end of our thorax area. And we're going to tie in our wire. In this case, I'm just going to be using a small copper. This is an old small copper, but you're welcome to use any wire you have, from copper to brass. Even up to the size of a brassy. Oh, cool. Yeah, I just did some pheasant tail nymphs on the last stream. Actually, I have them right here. I'll grab them just one sec. Let me get some wire cut off here first, so it doesn't go sproing on me. You can also use uni French for this as well too, if you want. You can do. Do I got any kicking around here on the table? I swear I just had some. There's some. Yeah. So if you're using not brass, but you can also tie this in a silver bead head, and the uni French and silver works really well to rivet with. Doesn't add any weight to it, but it gives you that nice silver segmentation. Okay, cool. Where's the pheasant tails? Yeah, here we go. Here, I'll pop the case open. You can probably see them slightly better. So I can get them. Those are the ones we did the last stream. Just regular old pheasant tails with some peacock for hurl for the thorax area, but you can use really pretty much anything you want there. The peacock hurl on the thorax is pretty classic though. Yeah, so this one isn't anything crazy special. Not that it doesn't need to be, but thank you. The legs can take a little bit of time to practice with, but that's the fun part of this, right? Is you can practice and get everything dialed in. Took me many years until I was really happy with my biots. Yes, do what StreamerBot says and drop a like if you don't mind. Keep StreamerBot happy. So we're just tying in that pretty much either the length. You can either go the whole length of the body if you like, or you can just tie it in just after where the thorax is to try and keep the thorax slightly bulkier than the rest of it. Personal preference, no right or wrong there. Awesome, I appreciate that. Thanks, mate. So we're gonna go with just using the peacock. Let's turn around the pretty side for you guys. There you go. Just gonna be using a peacock quill just because I got one handy. You're welcome to use whatever peacock you got handy. So if you got some shorter stuff like these guys, or some longer stuff like the ones in the back here, that'll work fine. I got gobs and gobs and gobs and gobs of peacock. So whatever you got is handy, but since I have this peacock eye floating around, we're gonna use some strands off that. For a Prince Nymph, I normally wouldn't use these. Not that they're not like too good for it or anything, but they're not necessary. Would probably be a more accurate statement. You can use any peacock you got kicking around. Doesn't have to be the pretty stuff. So I'm just gonna pull those off, And we're cutting off the brittle ends, leaving this. Hey, there's Shark. How you doing, man? I was partially watching your stream stuff today, but I didn't get a chance to say hi. Busy with all the Canada Day stuff. Good to have you in, though, man. I seen your little poster about getting ready for the king salmon and everything. What do you say? It was on the 6th, I think? I'm trying to remember what your post said. Yeah, I'm just going to be tying this in on the length of the body here. Right up to the tail, but without interrupting the tails, and we'll go back up here again. We're just going to end that just right before where we're going to be making our head. So just at the end of that lead wrap that we're doing. But yeah, good to have you in, Shark. That wrapped up here. Alright. I use a rotary. You don't have to. You can just use your hand. So since I'm using the rotary, I'm going to give it about 8 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those 8 wraps are going to unwrap as I'm wrapping the body. Hey, I appreciate the donation. Thanks, Peace Fishing, man. I appreciate that. I really honestly do. Any donations go towards the channel, and me and my family are very thankful for anything like that that gets donated. Something old, to be honest. If you have a pressured lake, you're probably gonna, all the trout are gonna see is all the common stuff that you're gonna see in the fly shops, right? So if you have a pressured lake, grab something from like the 20s or 30s. Grab an old wet fly or something that they haven't seen before that's got a lot of attractor colors in it, and give that a hoot. You'll probably be surprised how well they work. They work then, they'll still work now. And the fish are unlikely to have seen it in a long time. So I'm just twisting this up. We're going to get about 5 or 6 twists. Don't have to go crazy. Just going to help stop this from separating on me. And I'm just going to push those twists down a little bit. And I'll get that in my hackle pliers here. Yeah, ironically, I'm doing zug bugs tomorrow. That is my, and I did some telecos. When was that? I think it's been a couple weeks now. But I did some. I don't have them handy here, but cool. No, zug bugs and telecos are like a classic. You can't go wrong with it. Alright, you're being careful of that hook point, and I'm just gonna wrap this up. Again, you don't have to use the really nice peacock on this. But whatever peacock you got should be fine. And we're going to bring that right up. And should have it captured there. Just going to get a couple wraps on it, make sure I got it. It's like the one piece there broke out of my hackle pliers right before I finished wrapping it. But we got her in there, so it's all good. No worries, glad to have you in, mate. I'm normally actually here in the mornings. Well, I do some evening tying, but we're generally here once a day. No worries, it's late for me too. It's 10:30 here. So you must be East Coast then, that's cool. West Coast Canada. But yeah, have a good sleep, man. We'll see you next time. Fully appreciate it, and thanks for the dono. Honestly, means a lot to me. You have a good night, eh? Okay, just gonna cut the waste off here, and then we'll go to wrapping the over wrap, the ribbing, the copper wire, and then we'll get the wings tied in before we get the hackle in there. These are a great fly to practice because you're getting a lot of the same skills that you're going to get for, or not just skills, but the same thing you're going to get for a lot of nymphs. See ya, man. Thanks for dropping in. Fully appreciate it. Always good to have a new guy in. Yeah, I'm going to be wrapping this the opposite direction that we wrap the peacock hurl. So as I turn this now, it's going to be wrapping the wire or wrapping the thread on the hook. So I don't have to worry about over wrapping the 8 wraps like we did the first time. If you're wrapping by hand, then totally ignore all that. Don't have to worry about it whatsoever. We'll get some nice even copper wraps going up right to the tie-off point. There we be. That'll make the body, not only does it add a little bit of weight, I mean it's pretty marginal, but it will add a lot of durability to that peacock body. Is the main reason we're doing that. Does add a little segmentation and a little bit of weight, like I said, but it really helps to keep the peacock down after you get a couple trout biting it up. And we're just going to hackle that off. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Ready for the next one. Let's put that off to the side. You want to leave a little bit of room here, like I've done on the head. For the head. Just looking for my bodkin so you guys can gauge. So we're looking for 2 bodkin widths at least, because you want to have 1 bodkin width for your actual head, and then 1 bodkin width to tie your material in. If you're new or tired, bring that back to 3, so you have a little bit more room to play with. You don't want to crowd your head. Okay, so now we're going to get some white ones, tie in for the, we're just going to call them wings, even though they're not wings. It's an attractor pattern, it's not going to be mimicking any one type of nymph. It's a beautiful set of quills, actually, to be honest. Nice and even, really nice and even. I'm gonna grab some kind of from the top here. We'll go there. Okay, just gonna cut these off the side here so I don't lose them. If for some reason you don't have copper wire, but you really should, it's not terribly hard to come by. You can use embroidery thread or really anything you got kicking around, to be honest. There's our first one. We're going to be tying these in facing forward, and then we're going to pull them back. That'll help to lock them in, and it'll also give us a lot more durability than if we just tied them in along the top here. We're going to do that one at a time as well. I'm going to just judge this. I want to go a little bit over. Whoop. And I dropped on the ground. Let's get another one. I'll have to cut another one here in a second. Alright, well, it happens. I think I got hundreds of them. Alright, so we're gonna measure this, the length of the fly, including the eye point. Let's get that in there. And then when we tie it back, we should be exactly where we want to be with it. We're just going to get the first one tied in. And just loosely, mind you, like 3 wraps will be fine. This will allow us to move it and adjust it where we need it to be. And then pull it back. Yeah, I want that a little bit longer than it is. like it like that. That'll work. Okay, when I pull it back, I like it to be just past the body, you can see there, for length. We're not going to pin it back quite yet until we get the other one in. We just want to have our length set right, and we want it to be onto one side of the body like so. Get a few more wraps in to lock that in place, and we'll get our second tied in. Which I'm going to have to cut off here, because we lost it. All good. There's a replacement. You can see the natural curve of it too. We're going to tie that in with the curve going up. It's because we're going to be folding it back. We want to have that nice dished point. Now to tie this one in correctly, again, we're going to match the tips of it, not so much the butts. Even if you're careful, for whatever reason, the butts seem to never line up quite right. You'll be able to feel the tips with your finger, and they'll move at the same time, and you'll be very accurate doing it that way. And we're just going to do, again, 4 or 5 wraps, working our way back. Now we can cut off the butt ends. They're not going to go anywhere, and then we can get the tops flipped over, and that'll make them extremely secure because it's going to be pulling back over on itself. And a little bit of butt ends, if you're worried about it, when you flip them over and after you get your hackle legs in there, you won't see them. So it'll hide those perfectly well. So right now you can see them sticking out just a little bit, that little bit of white. If you're worried about it, you can bury it with the thread, but again, it's not necessary because as we pull these back, they're going to get buried in any case. So we're going to pull these back, tie them in. Just going to hold those on either side. Get our thread wraps in. There we are. That's perfect. Just like so. I'm a little bit farther on the one than the other, but it's very, very minute, so I'm good with it. I like them to be a little bit off the body, like that. I don't like them hugging the body too much. They look like wings, basically. The nymphs don't actually have wings like this, but again, it's a tractor pattern. There. Little trick you can do, instead of fighting with the white bias and trying to cover them up with your thread, because you'll end up making the head a little bit too bulky typically, because you'll just keep wrapping thread until you don't see it anymore. Let's take a little Sharpie marker like so, and just hit up those spots with the Sharpie. They'll disappear, and you won't need to put nearly as many thread wraps on them to get them to disappear. See? There you go. That'll help so your heads don't get too bulky. And now we're going to tie in the legs. You got a bunch of different options for the legs. These don't have to be crazy accurate or anything. It's just a really simple nymph pattern, especially when you're not using a bead head. So you can use cutoffs like this. They're just cutoffs from other hackle, and you can tie it in pieces as you work your way around and just throw it in, or you can do 2 larger clumps on either side, or you can throw it in as a beard. You can throw it in as a soft hackle and then pin it back, which is what I'm going to be doing on this one. But there's many ways of doing it, and there's no real right or wrong way to get it done. So whatever your preference be, whatever works for you, go with that. So I'm just going to be taking this one here. These are just a couple that I pulled off of the These are just your generic red rooster hackle from, you know, regular farm chicken. Nothing crazy. Not genetic. Nothing special. It's a little bit on the long side, but then again, this is a wet nymph. So we're not tying this in as a dry fly. And the slightly lesser quality hackle actually has a good bit of webbiness to it, so it works really well for nymph legs. But you can use gobs of things you got around your tying bench for legs on this. Like I said, you can use cutoff stuff. You could use pheasant, like these guys here. Like pheasant tail, this is a little bit on the peacocky side, but pheasant rump, anything you got kicking around really. This stuff here works really well too. It's not traditional at all, it just works well. But like the leftover bits from pheasant tail, pheasant rumps, they work really well for nymph legs. In this case, we're just going to do a couple wraps of this feather on the longer side here. That's actually a little too long. We're going to have to creep up. There we are. So we've cut back most of that feather. That's what we're left with. I'm going to tie this in and then trim it off. On an angle like so. About 3-4 good wraps on it. And we'll bury that. We'll bury the rachis end of the hackle in when we finish the head up. And same thing, just use some hackle pliers here. I'm just gonna adjust the stream, be right back. We'll get this hackle tied in. There we go. Oh yeah, we'll get the hackle tied in. Again, we're going for this one, we're going a little bit more traditional Prince Nymph. This is such a well-used fly that you can do whatever you want with this end of it, with the legs and how you do this. In this case, I'm going to be doing it up like a dry fly and then pinning it back. So as I wrap these along, I'm just going to be pulling them back with my hand, bringing it down, and I'm going to be doing a very light wrap forward. And we'll come back with the thread wraps to pin it in place. And these are a bit webbier, so they'll lay back real nice. We really only need, because we're not floating this or anything, these are just to give the movement in the water for the legs. You really only need like 3 or 4 wraps at the most. And if you got some old leftovers that are a little too long or the wrong type, you just tie them in as a beard. Just tie them in on the bottom. Again, you'll be just fine. I'm just going to capture that off there. Tension's a little light on this bobbin, I'm going to have to adjust that. Thank you. Hey, Rob Green, good to have you in, man. No worries. Just a classic Prince Nymph, no bead head, nothing crazy. Just your classic Prince Nymph. Okay, so now we're going to build up the head. I do like to have larger heads on my nymphs, whether it's Prince Nymph or not. What I'm going to do, because I want to show off that white, the white wings on the top like so. We're just going to separate this a bit with our fingers, pulling the hackle left and right. There we go. Left and right and then back. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. And then as I tie this up and pin this down and back, it will stay in that direction. There we go. So the vast majority of it's going to be down and back. There's always one or two that wants to not play ball. There, now I'm going to make a nice bulbous head on it. Just bury down any of those hackle bits. There we go. I want most of those legs to be on the bottom. That one wing kind of just went cattywampus on me.
The fortune lady told my mama
There we go.
before I saw the sun. Said your boy's gonna love too hard.
Yeah, that's better. Got a little bit of a tuft here. I could try and pin down a little better, but so these are good, quick and dirty flies. They don't need to be terribly special, but I'm gonna try it here. I'll get that pinned in there a little better. That's a little better. Now it's pointing down a little bit. Yeah, I'll just hit that up one more time. I got a few bits of the rake is sticking through here, so just gonna hit that with the pen. There we are. If I'm putting a bead head on these, I'm gonna be doing a much smaller head. But I do find I have better pickups with a larger kind of bulbous head. Since it is a nymph, right? Like so. Okay, gonna throw in some half edges and a whip finish and we'll call her good. We'll get our whip finish out. And we're going to put a good bit of head cement on there and a little bit of Sally Hansen's to shine up. I need to adjust the drag on this guy. And whip finish finishes on top of the head. Where the head cement can soak into it nice. There we go. So again, when you're tying these, you want to have one bodkin width, two bodkin widths for the head. If you're new and starting out, give yourself room for 3 because you'll end up with 2. Always seem to work that direction. Okay, bust that off. head cement on there. We're ready for the next one. I'm just gonna adjust my bobbin here too while I'm thinking about it. I loosened the thread up on it for the last thread I had in there, and it's just a little too loose for me now. That's better. Just need to tweak it a little bit. Yeah, let's get some head cement on there and some Sally Hansen's. Gonna use the Insta Dry on this, but you can use whatever you got. Head cement's gonna soak in, melt the wax on the wax thread, and really kind of penetrate the thread well. Sally Hansen's will put a coating on top. If you're using UV, you can do that. I do recommend you still use head cement, even if you're using UV, because the head cement will penetrate. The UV will just basically be on top. That looks good to me. Give that a minute to soak in here, and then we'll pop on the Sally Hansen's. Two of them will work together, give you a nice, durable, glossy bulbous head like that. I really like that shape head on my nymphs. You're welcome to bring that right up and just have a little tight head if you like. But we are imitating a nymph, and that insect will have quite a large head and some eye stalks on it. So that looks good. Quite happy with that one. The one wing is off by just a little bit. I'll just tweak that up. There we go. That's better. Yeah, quick dirty fly, really good one to start learning to tie nymphs with. It's just complex enough that it's going to challenge you in getting a number of techniques down, especially the tails. I have a nice V tail like that that's even when you have the hook flat. The wings could have been a little bit flatter on that one, but overall it's fine. They're going to get beat up and torn up really quickly when you're fishing anyway, so it really don't matter. But nice segmentation. You want to keep your segmentation even. The peacock curl body is really what sets this up. You definitely want to have some peacock curl body nymphs in your box for searching nymphs. Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick spin and spiel here, and then I'll throw that into a box. I don't have a box handy, so we're gonna throw it in with these guys. Hey, no worries. Thanks, Shark. Appreciate it, mate. We're just going to throw it in with these other hurl bugs because it's very similar. I don't think he's quite dry yet, though. Still looking glossy to me. We'll do the spin and spiel. That should dry it up before I throw it in the box. And in the vise today we have a Prince Nymph. This is your classic Prince Nymph without the bead head. Just a simple brown biot tail, peacock curl body all the way up to the thorax area, two white biots coming out the top for wings, and some regular hackle for the legs coming out the bottom. Wonderful little pattern. Have a little black bulbous head. We're using 8/0 uni in this one. And it's tied on a size 8 hook. Wonderful little pattern. Should definitely have these as part of your searching nymphs, and just works. That's why you see them all over the place. And it's a great fly to learn. If you're learning to tie nymphs, it uses a lot of different techniques that you're going to use on many other nymphs. Wonderful little thing. Should definitely have a couple of these in your box, eh? Thanks kindly. Okay, I'll get that in the box. Get a couple more done up here. Might tweak the pattern a little bit as we go. There's the first one. And yeah, we'll tie up as we go here. I'll go through a couple different ways of doing each part of it. There's no right or wrong one to do. It's all just what works best for your fingers. There are some ups and downsides to each technique, but they're so close that it's really doesn't depend. It really doesn't make much difference. More important thing would be if you're comfortable with the tying method, you're going to end up with a more solid fly at the end of the day, and one you're happier with, and that's more important. So like we're saying on the other one, I'm going to go ahead and I'll do the wire on the bear shank with this one. We put the thread base down first on that first one, but in this case we'll do the wire on the bear shank. And again, depending on your mileage, you may find that this works better for you. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Call that 7 because I got a little tail hanging out here. We just want that in the thorax area, like so. That'll work out just fine. Now we're going to start our thread just on the other side of that, and we'll come back and cover that up. Thread base all the way back to the just before the barb, and we'll get our thread bump done up there in a minute. First we'll get that lead tied in, and on this one here too, I'm just going to throw a dab of head cement. You can use nail polish for this too, but the head cement will dry a little quicker and be a little bit less messy. And just throwing this on top. Should soak through the wraps. And we'll put the thread on top, and once that dries, it's not going to spin or go anywhere. I'm just going to move it back a bit. There we go. When I'm wrapping the thread, I'm going to be wrapping on an angle. Not trying to go through the lead wraps, trying to go over top. So I'm covering like 2 lead wraps for each thread wrap. So it doesn't necessarily fall between. Although it will every once in a while. Don't need to beat yourself up about it though. But that's more than enough. That's not going to go nowhere, and it adds a bit of forward weight so that you can, when you're twitching it forward, it'll have a bit of a jag to it. Adds a little more lifelike appearance to the fly. Gets it down a little faster too. Okay, so again, we're going to be just at the start of that barb. So not over top the barb, but just before it. And we're going to tie in that little thread lump here. 5 or 6 turns normally. If you don't need to go crazy, it really just needs to be a difference from the shank. And that should be fine. Don't need a whole lot, really don't. And bring your thread to the back of that, and that's where we'll tie in the biots. Again, brown. I only got one cut here, so give me a second, I'll cut a second. And that's what we're using, just, I think these are goose bite. Pretty sure they're goose bite. Okay, and just to do things a little differently for this one, we're going to tie these in at the same time. My personal preference, again, is to tie them in one at a time. But if you practice this method, you can save yourself a good bit of time tying them in because you can do them together. So same thing, you can feel them. I'm only touching the one. Trying to get it to slide back, but it's not behaving on me. Come on now. There we go. Alright, those are even. And hopefully it's picking up on the camera. But those are dead even. So we're going to bring those up. We're going to measure, again, the body length. Transfer that back and on either side of the hook. And once we got it where we want it, we're going to pin down this side of it and get our wraps in. First wrap should be soft, so you're not moving either one. And then 2 to hold it in. I'm going to have to adjust it. It did spin on me a little bit there. That's fine. That's just where I want it. 3 more to lock it in place. And then hopefully you can see it there. Let's get my actual hand over it. So you want it flat along the shank like so, and then nice and V'd when you look out the back. So that one went good. Yeah, that's pretty even. Can't complain with that one. And again, we're going to tie in those biots and ends in all the way up. Just to not only add a little bulk, but it also helps to keep that lead from shifting. Okay. We're going to tie our copper in next. Not doing anything different with the copper this time. It's just going to go right from that thorax point back. Come on now. Hey Maddie, good to have you. I caught a little bit of yours earlier, but I was busy with all the Canada Day stuff. Thanks for dropping in though, appreciate it, man. Okay, so we got the brown biots done in. Can't see them so well on the red shirt, but they're there. Okay, we'll grab 3 more peacock earls off here. Again, you can use any peacock you got kicking around. They don't have to be nice peacock eye earls for this fly for sure. Not gonna hurt anything if you do, but not necessary at all. Can be some old ratty stuff that you got laying around that's a little brittle. Doesn't matter because you're going to be wrapping the body up with the copper. It'll hold everything in place. As long as they don't break before you tie it in, you're good. Again, going to be going thorax length on the body here. Tie those in all the way along. Bring it right back before the tail so we don't interrupt the tail. That looks perfect. Okay, back up. Let's stop kind of mid-thorax here. Right in the middle of where we put our lead. Okay, I get about 5 twists on this. Don't need a whole lot. It'll just keep it from separating on you. Your mileage may vary there a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna do about 8 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And as I wrap this, that will unwrap. Like so. Again, we want to leave about 2 bodkin widths at the front there. Don't get all tangled around my thing now. There we go. I'll leave about 2 bodkin widths at the front. For room for our head and tying in everything. So 1, 2. We'll get everything buried in there. If you're just starting out, leave 3. Because you'll end up being 2. Okay, I don't need to do any extra wrapping on this one because we're going to be going the opposite direction. So it's actually going to wrap thread as I'm wrapping it now. And just avoiding that hook point, we get a nice even copper wrap up. So that's called counter wrapping. And that'll wrap that peacock in so it's not going anywhere. Almost cut that with my scissors. Don't want to do that, we can helicopter it off like so. Like that. Again, you can use thicker wire if you like. You can use embroidery silk. You can do lots of different things for that. Rib. But that is pretty traditional. Not going anywhere. Adds a nice shine to it, nice segmentation. Fish like it, and that's all that matters. Okay, gonna get some more white ones cut out here. Just turkey bite, or a goose bite in this case. It's actually a pretty beautiful goose bite, to be honest with you. Quite happy with it. Just cutting 2 of those off camera here so I don't lose them, in theory. And again, we're going to tie these 2 in together like we did the tail, so you can see another technique of doing it. Oop. Did I lose you? No. As long as you don't drop them. Alright. Give me a second to steady these. Okay, so if you're tying them in together, there's a little bit different technique to that. So you want to get them as even as you can. These guys are pretty even. And that's more for the fishermen than the fish, but you want to try and get them as even as you can. I have one, hopefully you can see on the camera there, I have one laying over top of the other. So it makes a nice V. So one is physically on top of the other one. What we're going to do is we're going to get these, and we're not going to do the folding back yet. I have them right about, yeah, that looks good. Pin those down like so. Okay, there. I'm gonna do about 4 wraps and then just have a look. Yeah, that one went a little bit cattywampus on me. Some people prefer them to be on the sides like that. I like mine to be a little bit more on top and out, like a wing. We're talking very minor stuff here. Yeah, they tied in pretty good, but this one here, I'd like it to be up a bit. So the easier way to adjust it, if you're pulling on your wing ends like this, you can damage them pretty easily. This one here I'm pretty happy with, but this one here is a little bit on the side there, you can see. So the best thing to do is to actually adjust it by pulling on the butt end. One, it's stronger, and two, if you damage it, it don't matter because you're cutting it off anyway. So I'm just going to pull the butt end the opposite direction I want the other to move, which is this way. I have to remove 1 or 2 wraps. So if it doesn't move, you got too many wraps on. Normally, for 3 to 4 wraps, you're normally okay with still having some adjustment. That's better. You see how that brought it much more in line with the hook? Much more in line with that one. So they're a lot more even. This one here also has to come up just a little bit more. There, that's much more even now. And once you got them where you want them, just pin them down with your fingers and get those other wraps in. So you want to get it to about 5 wraps. Okay. Now we can cut those butt ends off. When you're cutting the butt ends off, you want to make sure you're cutting them off to the point where you can still bury them. So they're not up at the very front where you're going to be tying your head in. So pushing them back like so. You can tear them off in most cases too, but there we are. You do risk moving them if you do tear them off. If you put some pressure down on your thread like so and then pull them back, a lot of times they'll rip just fine. But you do run the risk of moving them. Same thing, we're just going to come in with a Sharpie. There's so much contrast with the white there. We're just going to hit that up with the Sharpie. Hey, good to have you in, doing. Just doing the Prince Nymphs tonight. Simple little pattern, just continuing on with our little nymph. I don't even know what you call it. I guess just nymph stages of flies. This is your classic Prince Nymph. So in this one here, we're not going to be doing a wrap of hackle. We're actually just going to be tying in a beard. So I'm going to have it up like so. And we're going to be using some leftover hackle bits. Where do I got one up here? Yeah, we'll just use some leftover. So I'm just going to be using leftover hackle that we cut off. So the base of this is wonderful because it's nice and webby. Going to get rid of the fluffy stuff. We're not going to get down that far, but I'm still going to trim it off. Okay, that'll work. And do 2 groups of hacklebeard, kind of on either side. We want to have it each group about the gap height with this stuff because it's fairly thin. So there's about gap height. Bring them together. Just gonna pop them off like so. And I'm just gonna tie them in on either side here. Not unlike what we did with the wings actually, but they will carry around. Like so. I'm gonna leave it loose there. I'm not gonna cut that off until I get the next one done. So same thing, if you look on the feather, you can see how much we pulled off last time. I'm gonna pull off the same amount on the other side. So get it to play ball in here, get all the tips lined up somewhat. There we go. Put that off to the side so I can find it again later for the next one. Okay, so same thing. This time I'm going to place this just slightly more center. So as I wrap this in, I'm going to line it up with the other one. It's going to be just a little bit off center, but more center than on the right side, because as I wrap it, the thread's going to pull it that way. And it should be lined up just where I want it. Yeah, that's perfect. There we go. So you want it wrapped in there. You want it to be like a full underneath beard, so it's covering right underneath the whole thing. Hopefully you can see that. It goes over right around in like a cone really nicely. That's what we're shooting for. That's absolutely perfect. Hey, Luca. Good for you, man. Yours must have just expired. I thought you already had a membership. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I thought you already had a membership. Either way, I'm grateful. Just let me get these legs clipped off here. I'll be right with you. Yeah, I have to admit that was a little odd because I thought for sure your membership was good for like another week or so. I clipped off a little messier than I would have liked it to, but let's hit it with Sharpie and tie it up. I could come in with lighter, but that's probably not the best idea. Better just hit these guys with a Sharpie and tie her up. We're gonna make a nice bulbous head on it anyway, so it should bury all that. There we go. Yeah, because you got one gifted by, I think it was Yoshi, if I'm not mistaken. I think Yoshi gifted one to you last, also like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I swear you had like 6 or 8 days left on your membership. Either way. I'm very happy for it. Thank you, Luca. You know, I always appreciate all the support and effort you put in, man. Thanks for joining back up again. Helps me buy materials and keep things moving. And it's just a great motivator as well. I do appreciate that, really do. Me and my family, thank you guys for all your support. Oh, that snapped right at the bad spot there. I thought the half hitches got it, but it's acting like it didn't. Yeah, let's get some more on there. So if it breaks like this, that will happen to you from time to time. You can get a... Where's my little half hitch? Where are you, buddy? There you are. This guy's really good for doing small flies, but it also comes in handy with cases like this where I don't have a lot of thread to work with. So I'm going to use a slightly larger hole just so I can get around the head. Yeah, I swear you are. I'm going to have to look back and see because, you know, YouTube does a lot of weird stuff, but for me, like the membership parts haven't been that screwy. Oh, come on. This guy's not quite long enough to get over that, so I'm gonna have to try. Let's see. You might work. Got so many half-hitch tools here. Let's see. Yeah, that'll probably work. The smaller ones are nice because you don't need as much thread to go around it to create the half-hitch. This one looks like it'll be just enough. There, that'll work. And we're gonna drench that. It's gonna be all set up with head cement, so we'll be good. But it's good to overcome your mistakes like that, make things work still. That's a big part of what we do. Everyone's threads breaks. That is nothing new. Okay. Just gonna start with the head cement. Let that soak in nice. That's nice coverage. I'm happy with that one. Nice and glossy. Spin that for a second here as that sets. And we'll get the Sally Hansen's in once it sets up a little bit. Simple little Prince Nymph though. It don't have to be super fancy. You don't always need a bead head on it. Bead head does help it to fish. I mean, if you're fishing still waters, you know, and the fish are in the top of the water column, and they're not necessarily near the bottom, this will be much better for you anyway. Oh, that is very true. Yes, that can happen. Yep. I heard that happens often with yeah, then they'll revoke it. So I'll probably see it. That's actually the first time that's happened to me, but I've heard lots of other people talk about that, and I'll see it as a revoked payment or whatever. So I'll check that for you. But yeah, that's very likely what happened. Either way, good to have you back. Yep. First step, more tea. I should actually have some tea. It's been a bit. It's probably cold now. Yeah, thanks, anybody. Hey, don't tell anyone I cheated today. I picked one up. Cheers. There we go. Nice thin one. You can make them thicker if you like. And if you want a thicker body, you can put something underneath for, just increase the body. You can taper more if you want to as well. This is just kind of your classic straight up Prince Nymph. Nothing crazy, just works. Sometimes the simpler ones are the better ones, especially when they're seeing everything else. I can do a little spin and spiel on that guy because I think he turned out really well. I like the difference with the other one. And we'll go with, again, we'll go with another. Come on, make the words with the brain. We'll go with a couple different variations of this too, like the same style and everything, but just different ways to tie all the parts in, so you guys can see the different steps that you can choose. And in the vise today, we have a Prince Nymph. This is your classic Prince Nymph. It has a brown biot tail, peacock herl body all the way up to the thorax with two white goose biots for the wings coming out the top. A little bit of red hackle on the bottom, just tied in as a beard in two locations for the legs coming off the bottom, and a nice bulbous black head done up with some Sally Hansen's to give it a little bit of shine and durability. Wonderful little pattern. This is a simple classic version. You should definitely have a couple of these in your box as a searching pattern, especially for still waters. The non-bead head version works great if you're just fishing the top column of the water. Wonderful little thing. Should definitely have a couple of these in your box, eh? Thanks kindly. There we go. There's his friend. And let's put him in here. Thanks, Hank. I still got a little bit left in the other one. Wonderful wife just brought me some tea and almost tripped. There we go. I'm doing Zug Bugs tomorrow, actually. Sorry, Shark there, didn't catch you and I had it turned off for the spin and spiel. But yeah, I'm doing, I think Zug Bugs are tomorrow. Let me check. Are Zug Bugs tomorrow? That's a good question, are they? Yes, Zug Bugs are tomorrow morning. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. Very similar. Zug Bugs are also a great peacock hurl body type nymph searching pattern. They're another classic one. They go back a little bit farther than the Prince Nymph, but yeah, they work great. Another easy one to tie, an easy one to learn on. There we go. I got my cup back. Thanks, honey. Oh, that's so much better when it's warm. Okay. Get another hook in the vise here. Yeah, word brain, start working. Sometimes the brain just doesn't come up with the words. Yeah, ironically, when I started tying, like, I don't know how long we've been going now, a couple hours. Where's my little timer? Yeah, about an hour ago. We had a new viewer come in, and he was nice enough to drop me a dono, which I fully appreciate. It was peace something. Check the chat here 1 second. If it'll go up that high. Peace fishing. I can't read the rest of his name because it's cut off. Peace fishing views looks like. Either way, he was nice enough to drop me off a dono, which I fully appreciate, and he was asking about Zug bugs at the time. So ironically, apparently everyone wants to see some Zug bugs, which is ironic, like you said. But yeah, we're gonna do those up tomorrow. I'll be up early and start getting back to my 4 in the morning tying routine. 100% my fault, just got out of the habit. I always say I'm going to do it later in the day and then think day gets busy and never get to it. It's much easier to just do it in the morning. Okay, so we're going to do another one here. Hey, thanks, Luke. I appreciate that, man. Really do. Hopefully your recovery is going as smooth as it can be. Yeah. Great minds think alike, right? Thanks, Luke. I do appreciate all the support, man. Me and my family, thank you guys. I know you all work real hard for your bones. Okay, so this one here I'm going to be putting in the thread base. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, they're a very similar pattern. I mean, the main thing is just the wing case that's really different on it, and the tail, using the peacock sword and whatnot, is a little bit different, but they are very similar patterns. Like, I'd almost use them interchangeably for a searching nymph, really, to be honest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do, for this one, again, I'm trying to do like 3 different ways of doing the same fly, or just slightly different techniques for the same fly. So we're just doing our thread base for both the 2/3 there, and then 1/3 we're gonna leave bare, and that's where I'm gonna come in with the wire now that we got that in. So the first one we did the whole base in thread. This one we're just doing 2/3, and the second one we just did a bare shank and put the wire on. Oh, that one broke on me. 1 second. I'm gonna leave it on there and just do it over again. Okay. There. Might have a wrap or 2 more on this one than the others, but that's okay. Nothing crazy different. I was shooting for about 6 to 7 wraps, is kind of what I was going for. Most of my nymphs is kind of where I shoot at. And now I'm going to come through with the thread and just get that pinned in. And again, we want to go, you don't want to wrap like you normally wrap. You want to wrap, let's get my, you want to wrap on like a 45 like this, so you're going over top of those wraps of the lead, or whatever you're using to weight it. So it's a much wider and longer wrap, and that way your thread doesn't fall in between. Not that that's like gonna end the world or anything, If it does, it'll still bind it in. It'll give you a much more smooth binding. And for this one, we're going to use some Sally Hansen's instead of the head cement. I don't like doing this, but like I said, we're just going to do different techniques. Now, if you're using UV, I don't recommend doing this with UV. I don't use UV, I'm just allergic to it, so I can't. But just a little bit, like you don't need much. And I'm going to do that afterwards because it's actually going to soak into the wax on the thread. The reason I don't like doing this is I find it, even if I'm tying slowly and talking like this, it never really dries enough. And it'll almost get like flaky by the time I get to that point. But in either case, we got it done. I'm going to get down here and get the thread bulb tied up. So again, we want to bring it. Looks like we want to go back a little bit more. Yeah, and like some people like that. It does do a great job of holding the wire in that part. You know, I can't argue with. No, cat, get out of here. No, don't be a twit. Come on, get out of here. She likes my feathers. And me. Alright, so I'm going to do about 5 or 6 wraps just to build up a little thread down there. We want it to stand up a little bit more. Actually, since we're doing a different, here, hold on. Since we're doing trying to do different techniques. Do I have any dubbing floating around here? Yeah, there we go, perfect. Just a little wad of, I don't even know what kind of dubbing this is. Looks like it might be muskrat. We'll call it muskrat. Yeah, I don't need much. We're just going to take off a little bit. So, just a little finger pinch. Not even going to use. Probably was because it's it was just sitting on the corner of my desk, so it is nothing special. It doesn't need to be anything special. This is just going to help us with creating that little bulbous part and separating the biots. This is just a technique that a lot of people like to use. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just for my mileage and money. It's the thread bulb seems to work just as well. But the benefit of this, well, it might even be a hair too much. No, actually, I think we're good there. So just a little whiff. The benefit of doing it this way, you do end up with a nicer looking product at the end. I wonder if I can show you. I'm not sure if it will show on these guys. Yeah, hopefully you can see it on the camera. But if you do it the first 2 ways I did it, with the thread bulb, you'll always end up, you can see the little black band. Yeah, let's see. Right there. You can see the little black band there. You're always going to end up with like a couple wraps of thread where that bulbous ball of thread is. Which really it doesn't make any difference at the end of the day, especially to the fish. If you're using colored thread, like if you're doing a traditional beadhead nymph, a lot of times you'll use a red thread, so it can show out a little bit there, especially with the brown biots. But if you're using a little ball of dubbing like this, that'll cover that up and it'll actually make a nicer looking butt. I mean, it's very different, or very minute differences, right? So again, just turkey biot. I grab 2 of these guys. Just gonna cut them over here so I don't lose them. In theory, there's no guarantees in life, especially with biots. As I say that, they bounce all over the place. Okay, sorry, just trying to fight them. Yeah, there's no right or wrong. It's just nice to know, you know, what options you have and the very slight, very minor differences between one another. There's no right or wrong one. Everyone's got their ones that they like. So again, just gonna get these as close as I can. If your eyesight's bad, just bounce them on your finger. You can feel them both moving at the same time if you got them lined up. Okay, and the same thing, we're gonna get these to the body length, over top at the same point, pinning those down. If I was doing a whole bunch of these, I'd have that body dubbing like as close to the. I'd have the body dubbing as close as I could get to the buy it color, like have it a little bit darker brown. Dang, I have to admit that looks pretty good. But it will hold them apart much nicer. It'll cover up that thread part in the bottom so you don't end up with the thread sticking out the bottom like that. You know, arguably it's a much nicer, cleaner look and probably more durable, but for the amount of extra time it takes, I find the thread works just as well. But it is an option, so more importantly that you just know that it is an option, and whatever your personal preference is, go with it. Again, we're going to tie these in all the way up the body, over top of the... There, so I kind of blocked everyone's view. But we're tying it right over top of the lead. That'll help stop the thread from sticking in, and we are not tacky anymore. Good deal. Okay. And we're going to tie the peacock in length of the body there. My cat is a nut bar. Exactly, yeah, use what you got and whatever method you're enjoying too, right? Some people just like using dubbing, it just makes them happy. Fill your boots. If that's you, throw some dubbing in there. Okay, same thing, 3 off of our peacock eye. Again, you don't need the nice peacock for this. You can use any peacock you got kicking around. Really won't make much difference at all. Give you a slightly fluffier body, but it's very minimal. Oh, actually, sorry, we missed one step here. We forgot our copper. Let's get that tied in. I don't really have any differences on the copper other than tying in the full length of the body or just this part of the thorax. I'm not sure what else you would do with the copper. So I don't really have any variations on that because it's just a rib. Yeah, exactly. Whatever turns your bobbin. Okay, I'm gonna bring that all the way back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll unwrap as we're wrapping the body. And yeah, I'm just gonna twist these guys up. Ooh, cat. She's going a bit nuts today. As my dog tries to eat her. Both of you settle down. Or hopefully she just goes and lays down somewhere. Well, the base doesn't really want to twist there, and try and get the twist down a little bit farther. That's better. There's a number of ways, and I probably should have done that. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that because we're working on differences here. So you can either tie in a piece of thread. In this case, I'm just gonna double it up like a dubbing loop in essence. So I'm just gonna take my thread, put on my finger, double it back, put the thread on top of where it was. And you can see that I don't have it quite. There's my little pointer. I don't have it quite to where it's being tied off. So you can see there's about a bodkin width in between there. So I got them both tied in. And now I'm gonna bring it back. And that'll just let me put a little bit of tension on it without it pulling too far. And I'm gonna bring that all the way back up to where a tie-off point's gonna be, right about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Be a little thicker than before because now I got like 16 wraps there. Okay, so we got our little thread loop. And I'm literally going to take the thread loop and all three of these and just spin them together. Actually, one thing that you can do to make this easier on yourself is take a hackle plier. You can use your it's hard to see on the lights shining my face. There we go. You can use hackle plier like this, so I'm just have it hanging off the hackle plier. You can use your whip finish tool, whatever you got that's got like a hook on it. It's just fine. And we're just gonna wrap this around the peacock. Doesn't have to be crazy, but this is gonna add a lot of extra durability. So if you're tying with older peacock, especially if it's brittle, this is a great technique because it will stop it, almost completely stop it from snapping. There. Yeah, it adds a little bit of durability. I mean, it'll still break. If you want it to be even more durable, like especially if you're tying like pike flies or something where they got some nasty teeth, not that trout don't, but do I have any kicking around? The ultra fine or extra small copper wire, you do the same thing with that. This stuff's a little bit too thick to do it with. You can, it's just it would stand out and look more like copper than it would. But if you use an ultra fine copper or silver, it'll hide in there. No, actually, yeah, wait, we were gonna rotate the, don't get caught on the hook. We're gonna rotate the vise, weren't we? So again, underneath. And it does mat it down a little bit, so you're not gonna be as floofy. But it's pretty minimal, and it will add a lot of durability. There we go. I would do that more for durability for the peacock as far as tying goes, more than durability for the fish. Especially for this pattern. If I wasn't doing an overwrap of the copper, then this would be an easy, quick way to do it to add durability for the fish. Since we're cross-wrapping it with the copper, it's not going to matter that much. That cat knocked my scissors down there, so we're going to use my backup scissors. Get one more wrap on there. I feel like it's not. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there's somewhere underneath me. I don't know where she knocked him off to. I'll find him later. It's perfectly okay to completely lose random sharp objects, right? Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it the opposite direction, which is, yeah, this way. Watch the hook point, Nimby. There we go. It's funny, my animals seem to get fussy if I'm not in bed at the right bedtime. They all get... I haven't lost. Actually, I don't think that's the one thing I don't think I've ever lost is a whip finisher. I still have my original ones. But I've definitely lost like every other tool possible. Now that I'm saying that, I'll lose my whip finisher. Alright. Yeah, I got what you meant. No worries. It'd be kind of hard to lose a Viking. Although it would be hilarious. Alright, so we got the body done, wrapped up. That's going to be super durable. As you can see from each one of these different methods of tying the same fly, they'll look almost exactly the same when you're done. So the tying methods aren't really there to give you a better looking fly necessarily. They're just different ways of doing the same thing. None of them are right or wrong, or even better. They're just different. Okay, so the last one we did, we tied these in together but facing back. This way we're going to tie them in together and facing forward. And for the longest time, this is how I tied mine in. This was my preferred method. It's a really good way of doing it that adds speed and durability at the same time. Yeah. I randomly just misplaced my Viking. Okay, so the most important part of this method is really just getting them somewhat lined up. They don't have to be perfect because you can adjust them after a little bit. But you want to try and get them as close as you can. So that's pretty close. And you want to have them overlapping each other. I'm hoping that will show on the camera. One's overlapping the other. And you want the curve point down. So it's curved like this, bold that way. And we're going to tie this in right here. And you want them to be the length of the body. I think I got the length measured out just fine there. We're going to find out in a second here. Come on now. There we go. We're going to do about 3 wraps. And I'll go 4. Just hold it. Okay. So, cross to cross, it'll always end up being down a bit more like that. When you bring it up, that's exactly what it should look like. Make a nice, clean X. Like I said, for a long time, this is one of my favorite ways to tie these in. Because they're really durable. It's a quicker way to do it in theory. And as long as everything goes the way you want it to. And it just looks really good. Okay, so now I'm going to take these two, and we're going to fold them back and tie them again. The point where you have to be a little bit mindful is that they can snap on you sometimes. If you have older, brittler, oh, sorry. Actually, before we actually tie those back, we're going to cut these guys off. Don't be worried if you leave a little stub, like I did there. Because when you fold them back over, it'll cover the stub. There you go. You can see the little stub. Like I said, don't kill yourself over trying to get that as close as you can. You're more likely to cut your thread than anything. Bringing these back. And just trying to get them where you want them on the body. And then the benefit of doing it this way is you're folding that over itself. So a lot of times when you're pulling it, when you're doing it the other way, the way that we just did it, where you're literally just tying them back, oh, hey, Valhalla. See, there you go. You just found your lost Viking. Luca just lost his Viking, and there you are. Yeah, good to have you in, Val. But yeah, the nice thing about this is, if you're tying them both back like that, here, I got an extra brown one out, so we'll just do this as a demonstration. I'm just going to tie it in the middle so you can see it a little better. But they can get a little brittle. But if you have one in the middle and you're just tying it in like that, a couple things that can happen to it is it literally can just, you know, pull out when a fish gets it like that. The other thing that can happen is, let's put a little tension on my thread here to do it. Is they can just pull out like that, or they can break off. So there's numerous things that'll happen. If you're tying them in forward and then flipping them over, you have several tie-in points, and it really binds it down so that it's not going anywhere. And adds a lot of durability to that wing. As far as this flies goes, that's the weak spot. There you go. But yeah, see, it gives you a really nice even wing. It cups the sides really well. The fact that you cross it so nice when it starts off with, you almost always end up with a nice fold over. The only, like I mentioned before, the only downside is when you're doing it in this method, I broke more with just folding it over than any other method. Because there is a little bit more tension on the biot than you will have with the other two. But it gives you a nice clean, they're the most even and the most durable. It takes a little longer than the second method, but you end up with a really nicely shaped wing. Okay, so we're going to throw in, we're going to use the same as we did for the other one. And this one here, we're going to do the same beard method. We're just going to do it completely around the fly. So most of the time I can do this in 4 goes. Well, we'll see. 4 to 3 is kind of depending on what material they're tying in. You'll understand here in a second. So pulling off material. Again, material is about the gap height. I'm going to start on the side of the biot here, and just 2 wraps. I want it to be able to move. You can see it there, just on the side, coming up kind of to the center there. And this is why I was saying 3. You can get 3 to 4. Here. There you go. Tell me we got one that just popped in. That's hilarious. We've had a lot of like weird serendipity stuff tonight. It's probably close by, you know, they could probably wheel you over there. There we go. So we got our classic 2-point beard in there. And again, just 2 wraps, that's it. We're not doing a whole lot. And then what we'll do is we'll throw a third on top here. And my animals are just going nuts tonight. It's like, dude, it's like midnight. You guys are just flying all over the place. There we go. Okay, so this one I didn't really pull off as much as I wanted to there. I'm gonna double this one up 1 second. There we go. Okay, so the third one's going to go right in top on the center, and it has a natural curve, generally, depending on what material you're using, but in this case you can see there's a little bit of a natural curve to it. That's going to go down, that's going to cup, and I'm going to put it a little bit on my side of the fly, so I'm not quite dead center, because as I wrap that, it's going to carry it towards you guys, towards the camera. And then it should be dead center in that case. This is like one of the slowest methods for making a nice hackle. So there you go. You can see you got a little bit on the top center. You got a nice beard all the way around. And that's my preferred method of doing legs on these. It's a lot slower, but you got a lot more control over it. And the other nice thing is you can use up all sorts of leftovers to do this. Well, that is another big benefit, is you can use up. Yeah, I'm glad for you there, Valhalla. It's always nice when you can get a good job like that. And well, making something better than what you can get at Home Depot isn't really a challenge. But I'm glad you got it. That's a good selling point too, because that's just basically where most people are going to go to get their junk. And good money in railings too, actually. When I was a locksmith, we made almost more money installing security bars than we did installing the locks. You do want to be careful cutting this off because you only got 4 wraps holding most of those on. If you need to, you can use a lighter, come in and clean it up. I'm just going to hit it with Sharpie and tie it in though. Really? That's cool. If it's a real iPad, they actually have decent cameras on it. You could use it for filming. Sometimes it's easier to have a full-size thing like a tablet than a phone. Congrats, so that's cool. Anytime you can find some good junk in a... I'm all for finding good junk. Okay, so same thing, just gonna do the head again. I like a nice bulbous thick head, so we're gonna go with that. Beauty. Use my slightly bigger one this time, so I can get it over. As I drop it, I caught it this time. Hey, look at that, I'm getting better. There we go. Okay, I'll get that whip finish in there. Yeah, like as long as it's not cracked around where your camera, you know, is showing through, then it doesn't matter any, right? Like even just for a B-roll camera or something. Because you already got Wi-Fi, you can technically, I mean, if the screen isn't too trash, you can technically do your video editing on there too. Or even like it's a little bit more bulky, but you could even use it as a DAT recorder for like digital audio. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Hey, there we go. That's probably my favorite top wing on that one for sure. First one, top wing was off a bit, but you know, it's first fly of the night, so it's always going to be a little bit off. Get a nice bulbous black head on here. Yeah, this is pretty much the way I tied him for a long time. It's all good. I like those, but I just don't do them while I'm streaming. And same, that's just setting up, so I'm just going to add a little bit of Sally Hansen's on there before it sets. Oh. No, I'd be all over that, like I said, but I just keep my stream PG, as you know. Okay, so we're gonna get, I got a little bit of junk on there, so we're gonna get a little piece of hackle and stick it in there. I got just, yeah, there we go. See it coming off now. There we go. Beauty. Alright, just cleaned it out. Just got a little bit of, what do you call it now? Nail polish on there. That's a good little nymph. I'm happy with that one. I'll do a little spin and spiel on that guy. But I have to say, I do actually like the, I don't normally do that, but I do really like that little bit of dubbing on the bottom. It does make it that extra little buggy too, eh? Not sure if I'm familiar with him, to be honest with you. But he's welcome to drop in. More deep. Alright, do a spin and spiel here. And in the vise today we have a Prince Nymph. This is your basic classic Prince Nymph without the bead head. It just has a simple brown biot tail with a little bit of dubbing underneath to help spread out the tail biots a little bit. Wonderful little tidbit. And some peacock curl all the way up the body, wrapped up. In this case we added a little bit of thread just to stiffen it up, give it a little bit more oomph for when the sharp teeth come in contact with it. And it's also chased with a counter wrap of copper wire segmented all the way up the body, the two white biots on the top for the wings, and a little bit of red hackle for the legs going all the way around, just tied in 3 different pieces. Wonderful little pattern. You should definitely have a couple of these in your box. These make excellent little searching patterns. Thank you kindly. There we are. Just gonna give that one another minute or so to dry here. Yeah, and that's my favorite one so far. I like that. Like to have nice, clean, straight biots like that. They're all fairly lined up, nicely separated. Body's good. Like the bulbous head on it. Yeah, really like that one. That one turned out well. Yeah, I don't normally use the dubbing, but honestly, I have to admit that turned out good. Maybe I'll have to do it more often. And like, you need so little that you could just, you know, you always have like little bits of extra dubbing laying around, but you need so little dubbing that it works so well. Oh. I might work that into my regular routine there a little better. There we go. Tea's gone. Okay, well I think that does it for me for tonight, because we're at, well, almost 12:30 now, so I'm gonna be up early and we'll be doing some more nymphs, like I said, Zug bugs. Might do a couple more Prince nymphs just to finish off a Prince nymph box before we start, but either way, it'll be some Zug bugs tomorrow at some point. There's our other two. Oh, well, he can go hang out with his friends in this box here. I'll get him his own box tomorrow. Oh, come on, bugger. Thank you guys for stopping in. I really do appreciate everyone hanging out with me. It's always a good time. Come on, get in there. Partially why I use wine corks instead of boxes most of the time. There we go. There. I like him. He turned out really good. He's probably my favorite one so far. Yeah, night Luca, night Valhalla. Thanks for dropping in, everyone. See you tomorrow. Yeah, or even just the rim of the styrofoam, you can just kind of knock them around. Problem is I got animals that come around, so as you can tell. So I always gotta make sure my hooks are either encased or stuck into something substantial, or they'll get poked. But yeah, you guys all have a good night. Thanks kindly.